Hey guys, Dark Side here, and today we are going to have a former Hearthstone and current Marvel Snap player Slimsh rate some Lorcana cards. Slimsh, how's it going?
Going well. I'm excited.
Slimsh, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yep. So as far as card games go, it's very casual Pokemon TCG player as a kid in the 90s, early thousands, middle school type age. Yu-Gi-Oh! Very casually. I was the type where, you know, you're a kid, you're getting what your parents will give you. You get a couple starter decks, a couple boosters here and there, and you just make do. And yeah, I mean, I know like the meme with Pokemon is that people don't actually play it, but I played it back then with my sister, my cousins, friends, and same with Yu-Gi-Oh. And then yeah, never played Magic, the granddaddy.
Never.
Uh, Usually 99% has been digital card gaming in Hearthstone and now Marvel Snap.
Okay. And Slimsh is being a little modest here because when we played Hearthstone together, we played in a league called Team Hearth League, and Slimsh is arguably the greatest THL player of all time. So he won't bang his own drum, but I will. All right, so
Yeah, that was fun.
why don't you? How much do you know about Lorcana?
I know pretty little. I've seen just random cards here and there, not knowing too much about the mechanics. I randomly looked at a structure deck in Target that was based on Hercules and some other character that I couldn't even tell you what movie they were in or whatever.
Uh oh.
And I just very briefly read the mechanics of Hercules. I remember it was something about him getting fatigued or tired. I think you had the right keyword that you briefly mentioned at one time before. And there's ink, and there's a win condition called I forget.
Okay, so let's go over it. We're gonna pull up the first card. I'm gonna have you rate, and I'll kind of go over the card with you. So the first card I'm gonna have you look at is Beast Tragic Hero. So up in the upper left-hand corner, that's its ink cost. It's a 5 ink card. That symbol around the hexagon, is it, or is that a hexagon? Whatever, the hexagon. Yeah, it means it's inkable. So what that means is that little gold thrilling means you can reveal it to your opponent once per turn, a card, and put it face down into your inkwell. And that is how you pay for ink costs. You will exert or turn sideways a card in your inkwell to pay the ink costs. And you can do that once per turn. So Beast, you can put him in your inkwell as ink. He is a 3/5, so the 3 is strength and the 5 is willpower. He has an ability called Shift. If you already have a Beast in play, you could pay 3 to play him on top of a Beast card that's already in play. The 2 diamonds that you see underneath his willpower, that's lore. That's how you win Lorcana. You need to gain
Yes,
20
lore.
lore. So you can do certain things with your characters. You can exert them to quest. So when you exert them to quest, you turn them sideways and you gain the lore on the that's printed on the card. You could do what's called a challenge, where you would do combat with other characters. The key thing to challenges is you can only challenge exerted characters. So if your character's not exerted, I cannot challenge it. So if you just leave something there and don't quest with it or turn it sideways for any reason, I cannot challenge it.
So if they're exerted, they're turned sideways?
Yes.
Okay.
And when a card first comes into play, it is considered drying and it cannot be exerted for any reason. The next turn it is ready and it can be exerted.
All right. So these characters,
Yes.
they can be in the inkwell,
Yep.
and there they can exert themselves
So
in
when
order to do their
when they're
to
in the
be
inkwell, they're
ink
just
to
ink.
oh, okay.
Because you're going to show your opponent and you're going to put it face down. Then it's just ink. It's just a resource to pay for cards.
Oh,
So if I put Beast into my inkwell, I no longer have Beast that I could do anything else with, but I can
you can't
exert that card to pay for other cards.
so you can't fight stuff in the inkwell or
Correct.
challenge them. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, the inkwell is just ink. So you're basically like deleting a card and turning it into ink.
Hmm.
And I think that's a pretty unique mechanic in terms of like how to pay for stuff. So this is Beast, Tragic Hero. He is a Floodborn Hero Prince. Ability, it's better this way. At the start of your turn, if this character has no damage, draw a card. Otherwise, he gets +4 power this turn. Slimch, how good is Beast Tragic Hero?
Oh, that's power. I thought that might have been lore. Well, so, hmm. So wait, how does he? So he does not get lore
He
in a way. He's
does.
just a.
You could quest
How,
with him. The lore is separate from his ability. So if you quested with him, you would turn him sideways and gain the 2 lore. But if he has damage on him, he gets +4 power for challenging.
how is it? Oh, and it's two lore because it's those two
Correct.
symbols that are vertically over there.
Yes.
Um. Okay. And so he's inkable, but if you wanted to play him out in the
Mm-hmm.
main area,
Mm-hmm.
it would cost 5 ink.
5 ink, and you play him from hand. You can't play from the inkwell.
Is 5 ink kind of a lot,
Well,
or is it like mid-ranged?
so you can get 1 ink per turn manually from your hand. So the earliest he can come down in normal circumstances is turn 5. You could shift him for 3 though.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at Beast here. I think it's kind of neat that if he has no damage, you draw a card. So they're kind of going to want to attack him
But they can't if he's not
um,
exerted.
if he's not exerted, and he would only be exerted to do what again?
Quest to quest. So
To
if you choose to
quest.
quest with him and gain the lore, you would exert him.
And he's got 5
5 willpower.
toughness,
Yep.
willpower.
Toughness, willpower, all the same.
Uh, how is that for 5 ink? Is that like on
Uh,
rate?
though toughness is probably on rate, the attack is a little low for 5 ink
Which
generally.
would make sense because he can scale, so he can scale power,
Mm-hmm.
but um, hmm, he can draw cards if he takes no damage. So if he's not exerting himself, he just draw cards. Mm,
This is so much fun for me.
I don't know. Are there lava effects that draw cards?
It depends on the ink colors. Certain ink colors are better than drawing cards than other ink colors. Some ink colors don't have really any access to card draw, and some have limited, and some have a
How's
lot.
this one? This it's yellow,
This is
like a
steel.
beige
So
steel.
this is steel. This is gray. So steel does have some effects that can draw cards. Obviously, with Beast, Beast is a card draw mechanic.
Are there ways with willpower if you get hurt?
Hmm.
Do you ever heal?
There is healing in the game, correct? Yep.
Um, is steel good at healing
Not
or
generally.
adding additional willpower?
There's certain cards in Steel that can add willpower, like there's like locations and other ways to grant it. Like there's a mechanic called resist, which will reduce instances of damage by whatever the resist number is.
Because you want Beast to be sticking around, and
You
because
do.
he's going to scale in drawing cards, and he can become more powerful to hit
Hmm.
big walls that yeah, I'll say he's good.
This is the best card in the game.
Nice.
This is the best, most expensive card in the game. The reason is he's always doing something. He's either drawing you a card, which is fantastic, or he's a big dude for challenges. Like he's never not doing anything, and he's inkable too, which is huge. Like if a card is inkable, that immediately makes it
Mm.
a lot better because of it's flexible. Uninkable cards aren't as flexible. So Beast is like the card. He's currently sitting at just over $50, and he's the most expensive and best card in the game.
Okay, good to know.
So we started off with the banger. All right, I'm going to send you another one here. Let me grab my.
Pretty much only going to say good or bad.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. All right, let me know when you got the next one up.
Oh, the banger, whole new world. Oh,
This
this
is a
one's so
whole new
tiny.
world. Oh, it
I'm
is
gonna go
tiny.
find. But if I Google, then I'll. Oh wait, no, I can zoom. I can zoom.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So this is a whole new world. This is a song card, so it is a 5-cost uninkable. However, mechanic with song cards, they're like spells from Hearthstone, but the mechanic with song cards is a character with cost 5 or more can exert to sing it for free. So if you have a beast out and you exert the beast, A Whole New World is free.
Mm-hmm.
And Whole New World Reach, each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. How good is A Whole New World?
Well, this reminds me of Professor Oak from the base set Pokemon.
Yes. Professor Oak, also Wheel of Fortune.
I'm going to say that it is extremely good.
Yeah, no deliberation. Yeah, this card is busted. The reason being is that there's a lot of aggro decks that can just empty their hand out, and there's a card called Aerial, which you play for 3, but it can sing for 5. So basically, you just empty your hand, and then you draw 7 cards, and then there's hand disruption for your opponent too, because they have to lose all their cards and draw 7 new ones. And if they just kept in them, there's a mulligan phase in the game, so if they just kept good cards in the mulligan,
That's good to know.
yeah. So that was an easy one. All right.
When you sing, you get exerted.
Yep. When you sing, you get exerted.
Good to know.
All right. We'll send over the next one. I thought that one would give you a little bit more trouble. All right. The next one is Chernobog Evildoer.
Oh wow, 10.
Yep. He's a
huge.
10 ink, uninkable, Chernobog Evildoer. He's a 9/9. The power of evil. For each character card in your discard, you pay 1 ink less to play this character. Does that remind you of anything? In the dungeon, I go deeper.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I remember now.
Yeah, the corridor creeper.
Good old corridor creeper. Yeah.
When you play this character, shuffle all character cards from your discard into your deck, and he quests for 3 lore. How good is Chernobog?
Each character card in your discard, one less. When you play them, shuffle all character cards from your discard into your deck. It's like playing him on the cheap sounds fine, but shuffling everything back into your deck does not sound good.
What about in instances where you might want to replay other powerful creatures that died, or characters?
I mean, I guess it would depend on if you had a good engine to get them going. 3 lore.
3 lore is a lot. Normally cards come in at about 1 or 2. 3 lore is a lot, and 4 is like extravagantly a lot.
Pretty big, tough, lot of base power. So to get character cards in the discard, are there good ways to do that yourself that don't rely on your opponent?
You could Wheel of Fortune your hand away.
Oh, okay.
The Whole New World. Sorry, I'm so used to calling it. In the Lorcana community, we just call it Wheel of Fortune because that's the magic card. You can Whole New World your hand away.
Oh yeah, that would be an example. Oh, okay. Yep. Well, if it's a good way to abuse Whole New World, then I would say it's probably pretty good.
This card is awful.
All right.
The main reason is it's uninkable. So that 10 ink being uninkable makes it super inflexible. So sometimes it could just be sitting in your hand dead. If something's going to cost a lot of ink, it's got to be inkable, because if you can't play it, you can just throw it in your inkwell and it's a resource. This being uninkable makes it pretty much unplayable. It does see play in like one deck where there's like a Mufasa that can like show the top card of your deck, and if it's a character, it gets into play for free. But like that deck's not very good.
Okay, so inkable is a very strong selling point, which
yes, inkable,
I would imagine to be true. I just don't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The fact that this isn't inkable is kind of the main thing that's bad about this card. All right, the next one is we just sent it over to you. Is Sleepy's Flute. This is a 2-ink uninkable item. So item cards stay on the field for the game unless something else banishes them. So they're there permanently. This one has a silly song. Exert it. If you played a song this turn, gain 1 lore. What do you think of
Okay.
Sleepy's Flute?
How much lore do you need to win?
20.
What?
Yep, 20
T-
lore.
Oh, 20.
Yeah.
Something cut off there. Oh, 20. Are there songs like the one song we saw was one that you play like a card and immediately goes to the discard pile. Are there
Mhm.
songs that can reoccur like a continuous?
Uh, so when you put them in the discard pile, they're done. So if there's like mechanics that can get them out of the discard pile, like yeah, there's mechanics that can get cards out of your discard pile, but generally speaking, you're not doing that with songs.
Sleepy's Flute. And there's ways to destroy the or to remove these items, I would
Some
imagine.
inks have access to item removal. Some inks do not have access to item removal.
Wow. Uh
And this ink we're on now
mm,
is called Amber. I should have mentioned that with Chernobog. This is our Amber ink.
okay, so oh, the last guy was Amber too. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, I
yeah, he was
understand
Amber
now.
too. Yep.
Oh, I thought it might have been the steel. Oh my god. Um, silly song. So costs 2. You get a lore if you play a song.
Hmm.
Don't know how easy it is to play many songs. I'm guessing this ink color would be okay at it. Um, and playing a song. Oh wait, whole new world cost I cost ink.
Yep. Or you can sing songs too with your characters. They can sing you songs.
Just and they'll exert themselves for that.
Right. Which means they can't quest and gain lore or challenge.
Okay, but their song would have some effect
It would.
while they were doing that.
Yeah.
So they'd be getting their effect, you'd be getting that. Are there effects where like you if you play an item, do you get this like this character really loves having items. If they have items, wow, they have so much willpower and
There are characters in the game that do scale based off your items. Yes.
I think it's decent. I think this is okay.
This card is very good. The main thing is what you might be overlooking is you can have 4 of these in play. That's the deck limit for Lorcanas. You have 4 copies of a deck, so you can have 4 of these in play. And a lot of the songs you can sing with your characters are very disruptive. So there's a deck called Amber Steel Song Deck. It runs like 20 something songs in there. And you're basically just singing these songs to like clear boards, do damage, refill your hand, and every turn is just a passive 4 lore every turn. If you have 4 of them in play, even if it's just one, just that passive 1 or 2 lore is pretty huge. So yeah, this is a very 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 good card.
Cool.
Okay, so the next one
Undersold it.
is coming up here. Is Bucky, the Squirrel Squeak Tutor. He is a 2 ink inkable. He has ward, which means opponents cannot choose this character except to challenge. So if you have like a action card that targets or a character's ability that targets, you cannot choose Bucky. And he has the ability Squeak. Whenever you play a Floodborn character, each opponent chooses and discards a card. And he's a 1/1 that quests for 1.
Okay. Opponents can't choose this card except a challenge. If he squeaks, uh, be exerted, right?
No, he does not exert to use his ability.
Oh, dang. Oh. And it's inkable.
It's inkable, yep.
Uh, your opponent chooses to discards a card. You're going to build a deck around wanting to discard cards your opponent might not have. I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, it seems pretty darn good.
Well, you don't discard the cards, your opponent does.
Each opponent.
Yeah, you don't discard cards, just your opponent.
Oh, wait, each opponent can.
You
Are there
can
more
you
than 2 players
you can,
in a
yes.
game?
The game is designed for more than 2 players, but competitively it's just played 1-on-1.
Oh yeah. Wow, yeah, it's cheap, flexible, disruptive. Uh, quite hard to target.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think Bucky's good.
So Lorcana has never banned a card before. However, Bucky has been errated. Bucky is the most meta warping card that has ever existed in Lorcana. Uh, Basically, if you go to a Lorcana tournament with Bucky starting on the 9th, Bucky will technically be a 3 ink card that only squeaks if you shift a Floodborn character into play. So instead of banning the card, they chose to just change the wording on it internally.
Oh,
And
I didn't hear about this one by name, but I heard about it in spirit because somebody was talking about how like, oh my God, Lorcana, they did an OTA.
yeah, KM Best mentioned it on one of his videos. This is the card that they OTA'd as Bucky. Um, it is incredibly annoying to play against because there's a lot of Floodborn cards that you can just get in for really cheap. And I'm going to send you another card really quickly here just to show you like something that is kind of like kind of gross. Let's see here. I didn't preload this card, so give me a second while I send this to you. But this is like Bucky's running mate here. I'm not going to pull it up on screen, but that's Diablo Devoted Herald. You could shift him into play and by discarding an action card. So turn 1, you could go another Diablo that lets you see your opponent's entire hand. And then turn 2, you play Bucky, discard an action card to shift the Diablo into play your opponent's already discarding. Then you can exert that Diablo right away because when you shift, if a character's ready, he's already readied. And then you start drawing cards every time your opponent draws cards. It's disgusting. So your opponent is disincentivized from drawing cards, and you can make them discard cards.
Would that include their natural draws?
It absolutely does.
Oh no.
yeah, that's Bucky. But that is the card. There's never been a ban, but Bucky's pretty close to the only ban Lorcana has done so far. All right, let me send you the next card.
Oh my.
Okay, this is Dr. Facilier Fortune Teller. He is a 7 ink inkable evasive. Only characters with evasive can challenge this character. And his ability reads, "You're in my world." Whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character can't quest during their next turn.
All right, so I've not played Magic, but I know about the flying. This is like a flying.
In a sense, yeah. I mean, it's more like the fear mechanics where it can only be blocked by creatures that are the same color. But yeah, only thing that can challenge it is something with evasive. It can still be targeted though with like spells and stuff and like actions.
Oh, there's blocking?
No, there's no blocking.
Oh,
But
okay.
like, I just in Magic, you know how you can only block with certain matching colors. Evasive is kind of like that. You can only challenge with evasive. So if a character has evasive, you can challenge. If you had like a card that says just banish target character or banish a chosen character, you can choose Facilier. So Facilier is choosable but not challengeable unless you have evasive.
All right, so 7 inkable. That's a lot of ink that you could get if you wanted to. The amount of willpower seems on the lower end given this. Quests for a lot of lore.
Mm-hmm.
Chosen opposing characters can't quest. Evasive. But targetable by spells.
Yep.
Which I'm guessing there's a good amount of.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Or maybe even you could be targeted by a song.
Yep. Songs are actions. They're just a subclass of actions.
Okay. I mean, I see what's going on here. It seems like it could do some work and be annoying to deal with, but I think the willpower's low.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it'd be liable to get popped.
Yep.
I'll say it's not that good.
It is awful. The main reason is it's very slow. Coming out on 7, by that point in the game, there's really good removal options that are really easy to just cast. He's just too slow for what he does, and he doesn't have enough stats. Like, if he was maybe a couple ink cheaper and had a little more stats, then he's probably busted. But in this state, he is not very good. Good job. You got it. All right.
Yay!
The next one I'm going to send you here is... You're doing pretty good at this, I'd have to say. You said, I'm not good at rating cards. You're doing a pretty good job.
I was always bad at rating Hearthstone cards.
All right, this is Flynn Rider Frenemy. Now, this is from our Ruby Inc.
Ruby!
Flynn Rider is a 2 ink inkable. He is a 2/2 with the ability Narrow Advantage. At the start of your turn, if you have a character in play with more power or strength than each opposing character, gain 3 lore.
Wow. That's an interesting condition for a lot of lore for a cheap inkable card.
Yep.
And if narrow advantage, this
Yeah.
is just it's a passive. You don't
Passive.
exert.
You don't exert, correct. Unless it has that, like, there's like a little arrow symbol, you won't exert. This is just passive at the start of your turn.
Is Ruby kind of aggro?
It can be. Generally speaking, Ruby isn't one of the aggro colors right now, but it can be. You could definitely play the role of the beatdown.
Wow. You just need one character with more power than the
Everything
opposing
else
character.
on the other side.
And it's inkable,
It is
which is
inkable.
always a plus.
It is a very plus.
Well, I can't know how easy it is to achieve this within Ruby or others, but you can mix with other ink types.
You can.
So if there's another ink type that can get a lot of power out for cheap, and it might even be like a risky thing, you just throw out like a thing with overcosted power for being cheap, but it's kind of vulnerable. But 3 lore for meeting that condition. Inkable. I'll say it's good.
This is a meta warping card for sure. This card is incredibly good. If you can't answer this early, it snowballs out of control. So if I get my Flynn Rider down on 2, and then the next turn I get down like a Sisu, which gains strength for each card in your hand. If you cannot answer the Flynn Rider, I'm just going to run away with the game. It is incredibly good early, and basically a lot of decks now are running like cards like Fire the Cannons, which is like a 1 ink uninkable super inflexible card, just to deal 2 damage to Flynn Rider. So there's a lot of cards out there that exist just to say, I don't want to deal with this card, get rid of this card. It is very good. All
Wow.
right.
Pretty cool.
All right, we'll send you the next card here.
Hey,
Which
it's
is
the Mr. Structure
Hercules.
deck.
Hercules, the daring demigod. He is a 5 ink uninkable 7/3 with rush, meaning this character can challenge the turn that they're played. So kind of like Ziliax. Reckless. This character can't quest and must challenge each turn if able. How good is Hercules?
Oh, okay, so every other character gets summoning sickness basically if they don't have rush. Okay.
Yep, this guy's like Rush. He can't. They can't hit the face or quest. If they had lore with Rush, they can't quest. They can only challenge.
Wow. Okay. Total glass can. Oh, and when you're challenging, do you take damage back?
You do.
Whoa.
Yep. So this could be viewed as like damage-based spot removal, essentially.
Yeah, so it's a character. Oh wait, and what color is this again?
This is Ruby.
Oh, okay.
Now, one thing to consider too,
must challenge.
they can sing songs still. So if you don't want him to challenge something, if he's still in play, you can sing a song with him.
Oh, okay. That
So-
would be very helpful.
They can sing songs.
Okay, so he's like, yeah, kind of like a removal body. The singing would be pretty important. Can challenge immediately.
Can challenge immediately.
Hercules.
From 0 to hero.
He's in a structure deck. My one bias, not inkable.
Not
costs
inkable.
5.
Cost 5.
But based on what we saw before, although you can't challenge something unless it's exerted.
Right.
This is not the Hercules I saw
Oh, it's
in the
yeah.
deck.
There's a couple different Hercules out there.
Um, so far I don't have a sense on how often stuff is exerted because there's so many things you can do with these characters. They can sing,
Yep.
they could just have these passive abilities that they just
Yep.
chill and don't make themselves vulnerable by not exerting.
But if they're not exerting, they're also
Um,
not gaining lore, which is your only win
yeah, but
condition.
they might be fine. They might be getting lore some other way, as we've seen.
Hmm.
Uh, and he could kind of be stuck in your hand if there's not an opportunity to do it because it's 5 ink. He's not inkable. Um, you wouldn't play it, can sing songs. Well,
We're getting spicy.
yeah, I don't. I'm guessing if something is exerted, it's probably getting a decent amount of lore, so you definitely want to kill it. And 7 seems like a lot of power so
It is
far.
a lot of power. It is very above curve in terms of power for 5 ink.
Yeah, because like the only thing that had 9 willpower was the bad card.
The Chernobog, yeah. There's also a Goofy that
Yeah,
has 10, but
okay.
he's awful too.
Yeah, I'll say there's a good use case for Hercules, raging daring demigod, to be a
So you're gonna
good
say
role player.
he's good?
I think so.
This card is awful.
All right.
And I'm going to show you why. I kind of set you up to fail here. I'm going to send you another card, and we're going to show you exactly why Hercules is awful. That is Maui, Hero to All. And I'm sure you can see right away why Maui is much better than Hercules.
Aw, man.
He's inkable.
There's a strictly better version.
Strictly better. Now, I will say this. There is a reason to run Hercules as a tech card, but it's
Wow, this
not.
is way better.
This is way better. Hercules does see some tech play in like very fringe cases, but
7, just a very important breakpoint for something.
yes. But yeah, it's very rare that you see it. But yeah, Maui is he's the best dude. He comes down, he's 6 willpower, he could challenge right away, he could sing really good songs, and he has 5 willpower, so he could stick around to help your Flynn Rider too. So like you challenge something that only has like 1 or 2 strength, they have to clear the Maui or else your Flynn Rider is going to start proccing.
All
So
right.
yep, that's like the Flynn Rider's like not the main thing with the Maui. All
Nah.
right, so normally we don't talk about Bruno. But right now we're going to talk about Bruno. This is Bruno Madrigal, Undetected Uncle. He is a 4 ink inkable 3/3 with evasive. Only characters evasive can challenge his character. His ability, you just have to see it. Exert and name a card, then reveal the top card of your deck. If it's the named card, put that card into your hand and gain 3 lore. Otherwise, put it on the top of your deck. How good is Bruno Madrigal? And this is now we're into our amethyst ink. Sorry, I should mention that.
Yeah. Name a card. Reveal the top card.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 3 lore. Exerted. Evasive. Which helps.
Yeah,
Otherwise, put it on top of your deck.
correct.
So it's a win-win because you could just name any card and
Could
bring
just
it
name any card
forth
and bring it forth.
while exerting yourself.
Yep.
And when you get the one lore while you do that
No,
too.
you have to
No.
specifically
Oh,
quest to get the
that's
lore.
questing.
Yep.
Okay, and evasive.
Mm-hmm.
Inkable 4.
Inkable 4.
Yeah, this seems quite good.
Okay, let me show you another card here
Aw, man.
that might help you out here too. Dalmatia Puppy Tailwagger. You may have up to 99 copies of Dalmatia Puppy Tailwagger in your deck.
All right, well,
So does that change your opinion of Bruno at
uh,
all?
how big are decks normally?
60 cards, but you can have as many as you want as long as it's reasonably shuffleable.
60 cards, as many as you want. Yeah, reasonably shuffleable. Because I've heard these stories of
The
paper card games where
2000 Yu-Gi-Oh card
people
deck. Yeah,
show up with the
yeah. As,
um.
as long as you can shuffle it, yeah. But normally it's just 60 cards, and normally it's 4 copies of each card. But Tailwagger lets you have 99 copies.
And normally it's 4.
Normally it's 4.
Okay, well, yeah, even better.
So there is a deck where you can have a lot of Tailwaggers and Bruno in it, and ways to search for Bruno, and then target your Tailwaggers because most of your deck is Tailwaggers. That deck is awful. Bruno Magical is awful. It is just not very
Aw.
good. I don't.
Really?
Yeah, Bruno is terrible. Because if you
Are
don't
there
name,
just better ways to tutor?
there's way better ways to draw cards. Absolutely. There's better ways to draw cards than Bruno Madrigal.
I mean, like targeted. Like I want this card. Give me.
No, there's no real tutors that I know of, anyways. If there was a tutor, it would be like in every deck that's playable of that ink color, and there's no tutors. I was hoping I'd get you to say Bruno was bad and then show you the puppy, and then you'd say he was good.
Yeah, actually, I'm thinking about it more with the puppy after the um. I wouldn't think it was good in that case because then you're just drawing all these puppies that they don't have their other use case without you. Got 4 Brunos and you got like a whole bunch of puppies that are just
I will say
whatever.
it is a deck people love. People love playing that deck. It's just not very competitive. And
Yeah.
there's ways you can there's like Alma Magical, I think it is where you could search out. Okay, that is a card that tutors. It specifically searches out a card, but you can get like Bruno or Alma with it. But yeah, it's a very limited tuner. But yeah, you can get Bruno with that, and then play Bruno, and then just search for your Tailwaggers. It's not very good. All right, the next card I'm going to show you here is
There must not be ways to like put a card on top of your deck to like, because that was the other thing I was wondering about Bruno was like,
No.
is there a way to be certain what that card is?
No, not really.
Where's Howard the Duck?
There is a Pongo which lets you look at the top card of your deck, but if it's
Howard.
if it's a character, Howard the Duck. Where's Howard? If you can, there's a Pongo that lets you look at the top card, but if it's a character, you have to draw it, so that doesn't help you.
All right. Yeah.
All right, so the next card that I'm going to show you here is the first location card you're going to see. It is Queen's Castle. So this is a 4-ink inkable. So the symbols on here are, first off, it's got a 1 ink symbol, which means for 1 ink, you could take a character and move it to that location.
Cool.
It has 7 willpower. And using the mirror, at the start of your turn, for each character you have here, you may draw a card. And it has 2 lore, so at the start of your turn, it passively gains you 2 lore.
Whoa.
How good is the Queen's Castle?
Get 2 lore passively?
At the start of your turn, if it's still there, it can be challenged. You can challenge locations.
Yeah. Oh, so locations can be challenged
Yes.
for existing.
Just for
'Cause they're-
existing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, you could challenge
But-
locations, and it's got 7 willpower.
But 7 willpower is pretty good, but you would expect something to have good willpower if it could be challenged at all times.
Yeah, it's, generally speaking, locations have around 6-7 power.
And it's inkable, so if you don't think it's going to be the right timing, then it's flexible. 1 ink, move stuff there, get cards. If characters challenge, does that exert them, or
It does.
is it only?
Yes, you have to exert your character to challenge.
Okay. And 7's a lot, so if you're exerting just to chip it down and not kill it, and 7, so I feel like it'd be hard to one shot. Inkable's good. First location. Don't know any other locations that exist, but it's got the right toughness. You draw cards. Drawing cards is good.
Drawing cards is always good.
Only 1 ink to go look in the mirror. I mean, this seems like the kind of card I want to play with. I like it.
It is a very good card. Yeah, this card's very good. Remember when you asked me if 7 was an important breakpoint in Lorcana for any reason?
Yeah.
This is the reason. This is the card that you tech Hercules for is castles, mainly for the mirror. The way you win the Ruby Amethyst mirror is by gaining passive lore. So basically, the first person that gets a castle to stick is the one that's generally going to win. So if they play a castle to an empty board and you play Hercules and take out the castle, you basically made them pay 4 ink to just skip their turn. It doesn't happen all that often. It's not a tech that's quite useful because Maui exists to help chip it down and stuff like that. But yeah, castle's insane. Drawing the extra cards is insane. Gaining the 2 lore passively is insane. 7 willpower is really good. It's flexible. This card is incredible.
Passive lore sounds scary. Is there any way to remove lore?
Yes, yeah, there are cards that do say, remove lore. We're not in a very aggressive meta right now, so those cards don't exist. But with Shimmering Skies, there are some new aggro cards coming out, and we'll see from there how it works. But yeah, right now the cards that say take a lore away from your opponent don't exist in the meta right now. But yeah, you got it. Queen's Castle. That card is Nutter Brothers.
Yeah, it's got all the good things. Card games, they can only be so different. Drawing cards, you always light up when you see that.
Yep. Well, then you're gonna like
Like
this next card
what
here.
they did with Loki recently.
I know. Loki. They killed Loki. No, they didn't. I actually think Loki's kind of better now.
I haven't played him yet. Whoa! Oh, this is a cute little.
Yep, that's
Cute little...
Hiram Flaversham. He's a 4 ink uninkable. He's 4 ink inkable. Sorry. He's a 1/6 for.
He's so tough.
Yeah, he's very tough, but he's very weak. When you play this character, and whenever he quests, you may banish one of your items to draw 2 cards, and he is worth 1 lore. How good is Hiram?
Whoa. Okay, so this is the new color, and these
are
are like
Sapphire.
Sapphire is like doing some weird stuff.
It does some. This is weird. Yeah.
So you banish a card.
You throw banishing, an item away.
It's like you're pretty much not going to get it back, right? And it's not going to be useful out there.
Yeah, once you banish item, it is in your discard pile.
Oh, there's like no special zone.
Yeah, it's just in your discard. It's not like exiled or anything like that, like other games where it's just removed from play forever. It's just in your discard pile. So if you have anything,
I learned the craziest thing about new Yu-Gi-Oh recently, where I was like the banished cards can do stuff, and and like discard pile effect. Well, Yu-Gi-Oh's crazy anyway.
Yu-Gi-Oh's nuts. I love this style of video where other card gamers rate other card games, and I watch people rate Yu-Gi-Oh cards even though I know nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh. And that game is wild, man. They're like you have like 3 decks in your graveyard's an extra hand. It's like it's weird.
Yeah, it's a lot. All right, so 4 inkable.
Yeah,
that's a plus.
It is.
6 willpower, good, especially since getting exerted to quest.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get the effect right when you play him.
And you get the effect right when you play him and whenever he quests.
So you get it right away. You banish 1, you do 2. That's a pretty good ratio. It's like almost as good as a Graceful Charity from Yu-Gi-Oh. You get to choose what you're banishing. It's not random. Very good willpower, inkable, draws cards, get the effect immediately when you play it. I can't see how this wouldn't be good, but let's see.
I was hoping that this would be so obviously good you thought it was bad, but yeah, this card is very good. It is your card draw engine in Sapphire. There's a lot of like one ink items like Popsicle and Fortisphere from Sapphire and Steel that just basically say 1 ink, you play it, and you draw a card. It's just a cantrip. You play it, draw a card. They have secondary effects like healing and stuff like that, but they're not really ever used for that. They're just used for drawing the card and then sacrificing to hear them.
If the willpower was lower, like if it was 4, I would know that it was bad, I'd say. But you get the effects right immediately when you play it. That's the crazy thing.
It does die to Maui, so he does die to Maui. So it's tougher to get him on the challenge, but
Maui costs more.
Maui costs 5. So yeah, on the play, if you're on the play, like if you go first, you don't get to draw a card your first turn if you go first. But if you're on the play, he's going to come down on your turn 4, and then it goes back to your opponent's turn 4, and then it's your turn 5. So if you're on the play, he's much better in that situation. Like if you're on the draw, Maui will just come down. But yeah, he's
And
very,
you
very, very good.
and you can get that for like that 4 cost. You can ink a card and then play this guy, right?
Yeah,
You just do that. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
that is very, very good. Okay, and the last card I'm going to show you here. Actually, I'm going to show you another card after I show you
I like
this
this blue
card.
color, I think.
Sapphire is very, very cool.
Sapphire. That's my birthstone.
Oh,
Poggers.
poggers. All right, this is Lucky Dime. This is a 7 ink uninkable
Oh
item.
boy. Oh boy.
Number 1, exert it and tap and exert to pay 2 ink. So you have to exert the dime and pay 2 ink. Choose a character of yours and gain lore equal to their lore. How good is Lucky Dime?
All right. 7 uninkable. Exert an item. Or you. How does that work? Can it get destroyed if it's?
No, you can only use it once per turn, essentially.
And you have to use 2 ink.
You have to pay 2 ink and exert the dime.
Oh my god. Oh. Yucky. I don't like it. No, yuck.
So you're saying Lucky Dime is bad?
Yes.
Okay. Remember how I said there's no banned cards in Lorcana? Lucky Dime might be the first card they ban. This card is insane.
What? It costs so much.
Sapphire is the color of ramp in Lorcana.
Oh, okay.
So you can ramp out to 7. So this is actually coming down on like turns like, 4 or 5. It's not unheard of for this. Maybe not 4, maybe like 5 or 6. But like by turns like 8 or 9 in the game, it's not uncommon for Sapphire players to have like 12, 13 ink. And like they just have so much ink and nothing to do with it. I'm going to show you another card here that kind of like puts this whole package together. I'm not going to pull it up on stream, but this is Tamatoa, So Shiny. Basically, when you play this character, and whenever he quests, you may return an item card from your discard pile to your hand, and he gains lore for each item you have. Now, in Lorcana, there's no charge. Lucky Dime is basically Lorcana's charge mechanic. So you could play Tamatoa, and say you have a whole bunch of items in play. You could tap the dime and get the lore immediately.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense because you're getting lore equal to your character, but you're not having to quest.
Yeah, and it happens immediately.
Make them vulnerable. I just thought that 7 number was so big, but okay, they ramp.
Yeah, and there's like situations too. Like I did this in a game the other day where I had a bunch of items in play, and I basically I quested with my Tamatoa to gain like 6 or 7 lore. I don't remember. I was way down. I quested with Tamatoa. No, hang on. I can't remember the sequence. No, I did the dime. So I dimed my Tamatoa. I quested with Hiram to destroy my dime and draw 2 cards. I quested with Tamatoa to get my dime back. I replayed dime and then copied Tamatoa's lore again. And basically like OTK'd from like 2 to 20. So like,
Fun.
there's just stupid stuff you could do with that. Like, but yeah, basically once Lucky Dime comes down, it's inevitability. The game is gonna end rather quickly, and you either got to end it or they're just gonna start playing Tamatoa and other stuff with super high lore. Like Belle has
Dang.
like Belle gets up to 5 lore. Ariel can get up to like 5 lore. They're just gonna play those and tap their dime and gain lore. So there's really no
Dang.
way you can interact with it. Yeah, this will be the first card that I believe this will be the first card they ban in Lorcana, simply because of that ability to just gain lore right away off a character you've just played.
Yeah, and even like if you're doing the right thing and you hate that stuff and you're playing the cards that destroy items.
Yeah, and item destruction is pretty limited in this game. Like, it's Steel has some item destruction. Other colors don't. Like, Ruby and Amethyst have 0 item destruction. So if you're playing against Ruby Amethyst, you know they have no access to item removal. You're free to just throw your items out. So, yeah, item removal is not something that's, like, super common. It's pretty limited.
Yep, remember acidic swamp ooze. Goat.
Swapoos. Wait, wouldn't the Viper be the goat? The Restaurant Viper, the 3-mana 3/4 that was tradable that destroyed the item, the weapon.
But I never interacted with that one.
Oh, you never interacted with that? It's basically Swamp Ooze, but you can pay 1 mana to shuffle it into your deck and draw a card.
Yeah, those tradables seemed cool.
Yeah, the tradable Viper was really cool.
Wow. Okay, so Sapphire
Sapphire
goes
does the
big.
ramp stuff, so I think Sapphire would be your ink of choice.
I like ramp okay, but not always. I mean, like, I never played Druid.
Never played Druid. Yeah, this is essentially like Druid, but like it does
I
really
don't
cool
like
stuff where
Druid.
you're drawing tons of cards. Blue has access to a ton of card draw and a ton of ink just from ramping, and then you could pair it with like the big popular combination right now is Steel for like the removal option Steel has. And it's pretty gross. It's definitely one of the big four decks. There's like four decks right now that are considered tier one, and this is one of them.
I thought I was gonna like Sapphire with the toy maker, but I don't think this would be my. I don't think this would be my ink.
It's the dime. So Lucky Dime, everybody like when you ask them to rate Lorcana cards, they go, "Yeah, Lucky Dime is terrible." It happens every time. Like
Well,
Regis,
yeah, it. I don't even know what I'd say if I knew that it ramped.
yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
All right, that is all the cards I have for you, Slimsh. How likely are you to play Lorcana after seeing some cards and hearing about them?
Well, I don't know. I'm just, digital card games are just the
If it had a
really good.
digital app,
If
would you be in?
I I would play this game if for whatever reason, I've got a niece who's 8 and a nephew who's 5. If this game gets real popular with the kiddies and they're playing it, then I'll want to play it.
Uncle Slimsh will banish him to in Lorcana. You'd
Oh,
beat
I
up on
mean, yeah, I wouldn't hold back. I'm
the.
not about that life. Although I am nice to them when I'm playing games. Like I'll play Sorry with my niece, and Sorry, it's not a high skill game, but there are
No,
decisions to make sometimes,
sure.
and like you can see sometimes like it's an 8-year-old kid. They're not going to weigh critical thinking that heavily sometimes. So you try and teach it a little bit, like, oh, you got an 11. Uh, you can move so much farther if you swap with me, and you're putting me behind instead of moving yourself. Yeah, just
So you kind of help him out with ruining your day.
yep.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
I taught
not always.
I taught Lorcana to my kids. My 14-year-old, he's pretty good at it. He can't beat Dad though, but he's pretty good at it. I'm still trying to teach him like proper card game mechanics like card advantage and stuff like that. So we'll get there with him, but the other kids they just didn't get it at all.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be fun though. Because when it comes to other paper card games, I add Pokemon, but I don't see myself
No,
playing much. Yu-Gi-Oh's an absolute no.
yeah, no way.
Magic the Gathering is like maybe I'd do a commander deck someday, but probably not.
So yeah, this is like Disney the Gathering. It's like Magic the Gathering, but way more fun and whimsical, I would say. And the whimsy is what sells me on it.
Ink is just ink, right? If you've got multiple ink colors, like you've got Sapphire and Ruby.
Yeah,
If you have ink, it's just ink,
it's
right?
just ink. Yeah, you don't have to
Okay.
pay certain types of ink to play a certain card.
So it's
Yep.
not like lands, not like energy cards.
Yeah. So the thing that sets this apart from Magic is your lands are your mana in Magic, and when you draw a land, that's all it is a land. In this game, every card is your resources, but it also does something else. So, like your lands are other cards that you could potentially use for other things.
Yeah, that's fun. That's a good design.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that design. That's what basically sold me on the game was that mechanic right there. It's like
You gotta
okay,
get your mana right, or your
yeah,
energy, or
eh,
what have you.
deciding what to ink in certain games is very difficult because you'll be looking at a handful of inkable cards. And you got to figure out which one of these do I need the least right now, and that's an interesting decision. Always,
Yes.
it's a lot of fun. All right, Slim. So thanks
Especially
again.
that Tamatoa guy was that's inked
That
or
is inkable.
inkable.
Yeah, it's very. If you play against Sapphire Steel, you'll see Tamatoa hit the inkwell very early because you can't play him till later. So, turn one inking Tamatoa is generally what people do if they're holding it in their opening hand.
That's
Because
crazy that you could. That's crazy that you can just ink such a huge thing. But does that ink refill or is it gone?
no, you at the beginning of your turn you ready all of your ink.
That's so much ink to get right away. An 8 inkable?
Well, when you ink him, he only counts for one. So
What's that?
when you put him in the inkwell, he only counts for one ink.
Oh, I thought. Oh, because it's face down.
Yeah, it's face
Oh,
down. So it only counts for one
I
ink.
understand now.
So when you ink when you're
I thought
holding
you'd get
Tamatoa,
8. That'd be so messed up.
that would be so bad. No, you put Tamatoa in your inkwell. He's one ink, and it's not uncommon to see that hit the inkwell turn 1 because you can't play him until way late. He's not useful until way later in the game. So that's one of the things you'll see. You'll see people inking Tamatoas early or late. You'll see people inking their one ink cards that they draw off the top of their deck and stuff like that.
All right, this is cool. I'll be
We'll have to do
keeping
this.
my eyes peeled.
We'll have to do this again when the new set comes out, and we'll just look at cards from the new set.
Yes, yes, and maybe yes, and I've built a sturdy foundation of knowledge.
I'll have to make them
I
a little spicier.
All right, sounds
All right.
fun.
All right, thanks for coming on, Slimsh. I really appreciate it.
Yep, good times.